Hey everybody, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here, and today we actually have to talk about piracy and copyright infringement because apparently everybody is ripping everybody else off online. Here's what's going on. This is coming from Ars Technica, and this is actually kind of surprising. Now, over the past decade, Google has consistently documented its efforts to remove links from its search results to content that the tech giant considers pirated, and recently, the total number of Google takedowns since its reporting has started basically is now beyond 6 billion takedowns. That is absolutely nuts. Now, here's what's going on. This is a milestone that Torrent Freak suggested, who has been tracking this, and I quote, "While copyright infringement can't be eradicated entirely, Google is slowly but steadily presenting itself as a willing partner in the anti-piracy fight." Now, Google's slow evolution into anti-piracy basically began kind of ramping up in 1998. That's when the FCC, or Federal Communications Commission, granted safe harbor to online service providers like Google, that's pretty much in their infancy, basically protecting them from copyright infringement claims about third-party content, with the condition that basically they disclose information on any users alleged to be infringing. Now, a decade later, around 2009, I should say, it seemed like Google wasn't doing that much, and the FCC started to intervene, responding to news publishers lashing out at Google and other platforms as well. Now, at that time, the publishers accused service providers of profiting off of ad placements next to links from aggregators and scrapers who were accused of grabbing and republishing news content without their permission. Back then, Google promised to address the issue by making it easier for rights holders to flag basically their content that's being infringed in their search results. It then launched its first transparency report in 2010, but that initial report only shared information on government requests for takedowns. 2 years later after that, Google expanded its report, publicly counting every takedown notice it had received and, quote, providing information about who sends us copyright removal notices, how often, on behalf of which copyright owners, and for which websites, end quote. Now, more recently, Google decided to go one step further by creating a preemptive block list in 2018. Now, this move stopped copyright infringing URLs from ever being indexed in search results, and those links are included in the 6 billion total of URLs delisted that Google documents today. Now, according to Torrent Freak, 326,575 copyright holders identified 4,041,845 separate domain names, adding up eventually to 6 billion takedowns since 2012. Not all reports, though, may be valid. Torrent Freak itself was accounted among false positives of reported domains, along with websites for the White House, the FBI, Disney, Netflix, New York Times, etc., etc., etc. But overall, I think this really shows how easy it is to have basically a free and open internet be copied and ripped off. I've actually had myself to basically claim digital copyright or digital millennium copyright status on Google. I'm probably listed in one of these reports, one of the 6 billion, for an article that I had written for Forbes that somebody literally had copy and pasted and put their name on it saying, I wrote this, and there you go. I mean, these things are pretty sacrosanct. I don't mind being ripped off. I've done a whole bunch of TED Talks and they're ripped off constantly, and I'm totally cool with that. But, some things, I mean, come on, dude, really? So it's interesting. It's interesting to see, but I think this really shows us that we have a huge problem with piracy on the internet. Now, at some point, especially if you're my age and you're younger, you probably were on things like bulletin board services or the early internet where people were sharing things that they shouldn't have shared, those kinds of things, But as you get older and ideally understand the ethics and morality, but basically by taking something and where somebody else is not getting paid, for their original content, it's kind of not cool. But nevertheless, we still see torrents, we still see piracy, we still see a whole bunch of things out there. But if Google is delisting these things, I think overall, it's going to make it harder to find these things for a lot of people. And we also know that the other big search engines, Yahoo's still around. I think 6 people use Bing. They're probably doing the same thing, in this way. So we're going to see where this goes. I think overall, this is a good thing to combat piracy, as, crime is crime, and here we are. So I'd be curious to know your thoughts on this, but with 6 billion links, mostly good, being taken down in 10 years, that really shows you the level that we have to contend with of just how fast information moves, flows, where it can be placed before it is caught, all these kinds of things. So Let's keep up with it, but I think it's a pretty good start overall. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks, everyone.